Let us invite Dr. Stephen Lam, Chief Operating Officer, GS1 Hong Kong, who will deliver us a speech. Data intelligence drives smarter business. IoT technologies can bring in massive amounts of data, so it is important for businesses to know how to make use of those data. Let us hear from Dr. Lam on how to turn raw data into business intelligence, helping the company grow. Please join me to welcome Stephen.
Well, I don't know what to say. Actually, good morning or good afternoon. Actually, the same. Okay, because it's a pattern. Because it's my third time to make presentation in this event. For the last two times, they always be the first event in the afternoon. Okay, in the morning session. So that's why for me to for this time when I want to prepare for this presentation, my colleagues want me to find a title or topic for this presentation. I try to, because I think about this way, because for the last two times, always with the last sessions, I always find that all the previous speaker, they already have fed you guys with so much data already. If I do the same to feed you with tons of data, I don't think you guys can able to digest them anymore. So I want to use a different approach. And also, I also want to use a different approach for this time, because based on the last two times, I found out that even before I start to have a presentation, my time is supposed up already. Okay, so that's why I am smart this time. Okay, I only prepare 3 slides: the first slide, the second slide, and the third slide. The first slide says thank you. The first slide is a title, and then only the second slide has something in it to be presented to you guys. Okay. So that's why I'm smarter this time, and I'm correct. I'm already time's up. Okay, so actually last night when I really sit down to prepare the presentation, I also come across articles. They say that everybody or everything actually is a data carrier, or everybody is having data. So that's why I want to put up this slide right here to make it a little bit interesting for everybody. Okay? So everyone, I think most of you should recognize at least the guy on the left. And some of you may have also seen the guy on the right. What's the differences between them? There's actually not much difference, actually, honestly. The first one, you can annotate this guy with the numbers, which is a big number. Okay? The one on the left, on the right, also with numbers, but it's a minus one. Think about this way, though. If you think about them using their ID or using the appearance, there's not much difference. But if you can make use of some kind of data, a unique set of attributes, you can able immediately to differentiate between them. Next example, between these two. Okay? Some of you may have never seen this before, but for those of us who have been in States for a while, you may, for the guys, may not recognize the one on the left, but most of us can recognize the guy on the right, okay? But if you lose some kind of attributes or even something to differentiate them, you may say that the one on the left is the most famous actor, and the one on the right is the most famous fictitious mascot. But to be honest, the reason I put up this one on the right, actually, this guy inspired me because he inspired me to do a PhD. Why? Because how can I able to differentiate these 3 people, these 3 guys? Okay, it's very difficult. How can you able to use some kind of technology to say that the 3 pictures on the right, they are the brothers. They look like each other. That is very interesting. And also this one, I think everybody will see that the one on the left, because it's associated with this guy with the equation, everybody know. And also for the one on the right, just because it tells lies, this is true. This just tell lie every single day, at least 12 times. Okay? This is how we differentiate. Actually, one thing I don't expect, Anna just came back. So I'm not quite sure I should show the next one. These two. Okay? What is the difference, or what is the same? The one on the left is the GS1 barcode. Everyone should have learned about that. And the right, GS1 evangelist. Every time she went out to every place, always talk about GS1. So that's why on the surface, they are very different. But actually, they're very the same. Okay? But anyway, I think I want to bring out the message right here is that no matter how much information or how look the same, how look the different, but somehow you can able to find certain simple things among the object. You can find some unique identification of the object itself. That is the intelligence about what we want to get, what we want to find from those kind of information. For example, today, you have heard a lot of information about percentage of number of devices you have, how much information you collect from devices. At the end of the day, the amount of the more information you got from the devices, if you are not smart enough to decipher the information, just simply use the information without knowing how to extract information out from them, you're wasting your time. You better not to collect the data. Okay? And also that for the coming ages, you always say that data is a language. What it's saying is that, I just mentioned to you, for example, between the Warren Buffett and Benny Madoff, if you just use a name, maybe you can recognize, but using the numbers, much easier for you to know that this is a differentiation between these two persons. Okay? And this is universal, because the number itself universal. Okay? And also that the universal value of the data is easily to measure rather than using the information itself. And one thing is about I think everybody will agree with me of this statement. You cannot live without the data or also bombard with the data. Okay? Just typical. This is very typical. Like for me today, usually I get 5 o'clock in the morning. I always turn on the mobile phone and see whether any messages. And if I have a message, let's say from Anna, I definitely will redirect to my staff immediately. Okay? And then go back to sleep and wait for them to respond to me first. If I go back to Anna anyway. So this is how it works. And then go back to office, and then we have message again, or maybe we'll have in a lot of cases during your days, you come across with all the data, or you send out the data yourself. Sometimes unconsciously, you send a lot of data to outside world, even though you're not aware of that. And also you get a lot of data coming into you, and then you're not aware of that. This is how it works right now. It's going to happen down the road anyway. And this is, I think many of you right here may have seen this kind of data before, but this is really true. When I was in school, in university, when I do R&D, at that time we keep complaining that we don't have enough data, okay? And the computing power is not high enough to do all the training, to do the AI, artificial intelligence. But right now, we are complaining that we have too much data, and we don't know how to make use of good data to do the analysis. Okay, I think the world keeps changing into these directions. But in reality is that right now we have too much data, and the data is much of the data is not in good quality. And also we are in the in the era of data life, in the sense that no matter what you talk about, the smart retail, industrial 4.0, autonomous driving, whatever you talk about today, it's all brought down to one thing. It's a massive amount of data. It's either online data, offline data, IoT touchpoints. So far, you haven't heard I talk about the terms IoT. It's because IoT is an enabler. It's around all the places already. It's not something that have to be keep on talking about it, because even you have your phone is an IoT device already. Okay, your watch is IoT device. So in the case, it's ubiquitous. It just matters how to use it in a different industry or different application. And at the end of the day, you collect all the data, how to make use of them, how to make use of those sources of information. One thing is very important, always talking about insight and response. A few years ago, we keep talking about getting the data, how to do the report, how to get the, let's say, the dashboard, get back to your boss, allowing them to look at the report, and then they will be very happy. Right now, nobody is going to be happy to see the reports. They want to see the insight. or how to discover certain new things out from the data you have collected, and at the same time, how to make use of the insight to do the autonomous decisions or to the follow-up actions. For example, like in smart retail, okay? You never, I mean, before when I was doing my work, doing the analytics work, we are talking about how to give the report back to those retailers and showing to them that, okay, right now you have how many visitors to your website and how good the services is about. Right now they want to see that what kind of product you want to recommend to the specific customers. Okay, you want to do all the personalizations and then make a decision in real time, immediately. Okay, so all these are much more advanced, and what we want to say is talk about the intelligence, smarter. This is what we're talking about at this stage right now. Question: Are we really getting smarter? What do you think? Not really. Okay. According to some research, actually the IQ score of some of the schools are dropping, especially imagine that in a Scandinavian school used to be they're the smartest one. Okay, I don't know, is it because Loki is no longer is a key player in that region or not? But in those times, the school they have a very high IQ score, but right now they are dropping. Why? I always say in many cases because there are so many called smart devices or smart system that the people don't need to spend any time or effort to think about what they need to do. They just use the systems. Okay, so that's why there no more effort need to be put on to doing things. But it turns out that I would say this. I'll put it this way. Eventually, we have a small group of super smart people. They are the ones to build super smart systems. For those people that they are not smart enough, they have to go to use. So the people that are not smart enough to build the systems, they may become dumber. Okay, I think this is something that we have to think about. I think this is what when we talk about artificial intelligence, to do all the things smarter and so on and so forth. Whether we want to be on which side we are going to be. Okay, how to make it smart. I keep saying, so everything, first of all, we have to be data literacy, in a sense that from now on, when we want to talk things out, we have to use some kind of language that relates to data. To say something that, let's say, using we have a lot of data right now. We say the open data, raw data from the social media, omni-channel, and so on. And the next thing we want to do is to analyze the data, to collect the data in a more systematic way. The last thing, but not least, is saying that how to make use of data to getting something new ideas, new insight. For example, like as I said, because based on the pattern of my last two talks, this time I spend less time to prepare and fewer slides because I don't need to, because I just need 10 minutes instead of 20 minutes. Okay. And also the multiple sources. I think this is something, this is a myth right here. A lot of people say that, okay, the more sources of information, the better. Is it really true? I think they're very careful. The more sources of information can confuse you, pollute the kind of information, the right information. So to be careful. Okay, so let's drill down to some of the things that when we talk about data, from data to actions. I think for some of the popular ones that we can see right now is for the consumer engagement. Like I think there's a lot of retailers, either online or offline, they want to collect all the consumer data, either from their own source or they get from somewhere else to pull together to provide a consumer journey for individual customers. We used to talk about wisdom of the cloud or maybe a demographic segment. But right now, we are really drilled down to every single customer. Whenever we know that a customer get into your store or into a website, we know how to serve it, how to prepare what kind of product we want to promote to a certain customer. This is what also GS1, I think this kiosk, maybe we may have seen this kiosk outside. Actually, this is what we have right now try to do some interesting work for the smart retail. We can using let's say some of the video analytics technology with the RFID, able to capture the behavior of a shopper whenever they come in front of the kiosk, when they touch on certain items, whether they like it, how much time they spend on it, or how much time they spend, what kind of information they touch on the screen. And based on that, we can able to predict whether what kind of information, what kind of customer eventually would like certain type of products. So this will help so some of the brand owners when they want to do the new product promotion, they can get better understanding of certain profile of the customer before they do a mass campaign. So this is, and also based on this kind of information we collect, we do some kind of an analysis, do some predictions, and this is a thing that is very interesting. And also last but not least, this is something that to do the B2B. When we talk about earlier about the Industrial 4.0, we talk about how the industry, how the business make use of the IoT devices, capture the information, capture the data automatically, and able to fit into the intelligence system to do analysis. Most important of all, as I mentioned, not necessarily to do reporting, but to do the alert, monitoring, and actions. Okay, I think this is very critical because you don't want to be behind. Only time that you know about is a problem. You want to predict and anticipate the problem happen to make sure that you can fix it before it's going to happen or happen again. And this is what also GS1 has a certain sensor data network for the cold chain for all kind of devices put into the factory, in the warehouse. So based on that, we can capture the information from it automatically. At the same time, can address some kind of like a paperwork or some kind of things together. By doing this, we can able to help all those companies related to the food processing or healthcare, able to immediately to be aware if something happened to them or predict what's going to happen. One thing is very important, okay? Data should not be in any silo anymore. It should be an enterprise-wide data intelligence. I mean, in the last few years, few years ago, everybody concerned about is how can I collect the data for only one single department and make use of the data for certain department only. And in GS1, actually, one thing we have very interesting because uniquely, because we have a lot of product information, a lot of product data, because our members there, we have all the products, right? So we can collect a lot of product information. At the same time, because we also have a platform allowing our members to do trading with their partners. And also we can capture all those supply chain information, let's say where the products shipment are. All this information, in a certain way, you may look at them in a very silo, very separate domain. But if you can put them together, make use of the information together, you can give you a lot better insight about your company, about all the information, about what kind of information you can collect from one single service. But somehow you can combine them together. You can get a lot more and a lot more interesting. And the value you get them from them pulled together is much more valuable than by one at a time. And last but not least, okay, as I mentioned earlier, there's so much information from so many different places. How do you collect them, capture them, and pull them together is a tall order, okay? So actually, one thing is, that's a slide definitely I will show you, especially in front of Anna. It's about GS1 standard, okay? So that's why that you can see, it's really true. In many cases, we find that, especially for IoT devices, when you want to collect the data from them, maybe they're from different vendors or different systems, you can able to have one single standard to be interoperable. It's much more easier for you to able to collect them and effectively to do all the analysis. So this is one thing that we are definitely we engage with our partners, with the industry, to able to able to demonstrate that this is something that we can able to facilitate all the industry to do the data collection and do the, to discover the data and through the intelligence. Okay, thank you.